Welcome to the episode of Ground Floor where we can agree to disagree, still be family. That is the themes. Well, that's not my theme song. So that's that countdown I use until I get my theme song back. It just don't feel right. It just don't. I'm working on this weekend. I'm your host, JLE, Brother Rome in the house, my co-host.
What's up, good people? We got a good one for y'all tonight. A deep one tonight. Let's go.
Yep. This part 2 to mental health. How's your mental health? Tap in part 2. Man, a panelist kid did part 1 last week and bringing her up to stage. What up, though?
What up?
What up, though, kid?
You good?
Chilling.
All right. I say, we come with the seriousness. First question. Have you and your spouse or partner had a conversation about each other's childhood or adult trauma?
Absolutely, man. I feel like even if I wanted to hide that side of things, when you take the premarital counseling sessions and things like that, they open everything all the way up. You know, like when I signed up for that premarital counseling, I didn't know what the hell I was getting into. But they, under that Word of Faith umbrella, they really dive deep, more so than a lot of churches that I've heard about. They had one session where we had to bring our credit score and exchange. Thought that was deep. They had another session where, can you both have kids? We think you can. No, we want you to know. Go to your doctor, get checked, boom.
Oh, they was deep with it.
Yeah, we did that. Another thing is they asked, where do you work? Where do you work? Have you seen one of his pay stubs so you can see that that's the company he actually works for? Boom, boom, boom. You know, like the actual name. Yeah, like that. So, you know, how some people can tell you they doing some type of work and you really don't. It was like they didn't want you to show your pay, but you had to show the actual.
You really worked there.
Yeah, that you work there type thing.
Wow.
Like, hey, this person is an employee here. Boom, boom, boom. And then what we're talking about here today about childhood traumas. Is there anything that happened to you when you was a child that this person may not know? You don't have to discuss it here, but you need to discuss it outside of this four walls because you don't want to go into this and that person be hit with some surprises down the road. So, I feel like even if I was to hide things, she was to hide things, everything would have came out just because of that premarital counseling. And I was appreciative of them for having that type of format because it wasn't like it wasn't structured. It was well thought out. Each session you was just like, ooh, looking forward to the next one. Like, dang, what they gonna do for the next one? So I think it's a must have conversation because you never want to go into anything blindly, and you never know. It could be male or female. Childhood traumas from molestation to rapes to all types of different things. Child abuse. You got to talk about every single thing. Mental illness, what we talk about today. You got to be open and honest because if you have kids, you want her to know, hey, this is something that's in the family or whatever the case may be. You got to know what you're up against so you can pray those things off. Mm-hmm. And know the natural steps to take. So yeah, absolutely.
I think that was good. Like that's super deep on how they did the counseling and making sure like every avenue was hit. They made sure they flipped every stone. For myself in the previous relationship that I was in, we talked about some things, but not all things. I think it was more of a barrier there. Because sometimes people just aren't ready. And so it was one of those things where I don't think he was really ready to share all the things that happened. It was just like there were some things that had taken place that just wasn't good, and I think it went even deeper than some of the stuff that he was able to share. And some things I kind of saw on my own, being familiar with different things when you notice different behaviors and things like that. But yeah, I think it was just that level. So do I think that hindered the relationship? Absolutely. Right. Because I just think it was some things that just not willing to touch. And sometimes you don't know that people have issues with their mom until you've been with them for a very long time, because one of the things that I always say is like he was very attentive and made sure that he took care of people, especially his mom. But then as time went on, I started to see, like, even though it didn't appear that their relationship was strained, it wasn't as deep as how I thought that it was. And then as time went on, it came out, like, from the things that had been done, and from the past. And I even asked, I said, do you think that your relationship that you have with your mom has shaped the relationship that you have with women as a whole? And he honestly was like, yeah, it has. And so I saw where there was a lot of breakdown, simply because of the fact that of the relationship that he did have with his mom. So I think, like, being open and honest and being willing to be vulnerable about different things that have happened in your life and in your childhood, or whatever traumas, it could be in your adult life, you have some traumas, but just being willing to share those things, it's important. It is very important, because then another person knows exactly what they're getting themselves into. And then also the other person knows what might trigger you, how to be able to support. Um, and then also understanding that you can't fix, or you can't fix anyone. That's not your job, number one. And number two, you have to know where you're able to support. But if a person isn't willing to get help or be supported or work through those traumas, then there's nothing that you can do about that either.
The stuff for me, situation before my fiance or ex-fiance, we did talk about childhood traumas. My ex-fiance, we did, and then when I met my wife, we did. And I did notice how that stuff do shape me. So when it might be sometimes they might get on my nerve, I'll be reminded, like, well, remember, Jeff, she already told you this is an area that it was an issue coming up. So talk her through it. Shout out to Professor Lawrence and Give Me the Game of Psychology, because okay, let's unpack that. What's going on with you? No one's ever did that. Like, nah, because right now I want to see getting my goddamn nerve. I ain't trying to do that. So I want to find out what's the root before I pop off. I don't want to do that. Let's be diplomatic. Let's find out what's going on so we can figure it out and be good. Because some people just react compared to, like, well, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really talking to you, because the way it's coming out, they ain't talking to you. They talking to the person or thing that did it. So you got to be able to have that patience to, okay, where'd that come from? What triggered that? And then we'll find out. And that'd be one less thing that's off them to have y'all situation be a little better for that time frame. Next question. Did you feel shame to talk about your childhood trauma with your spouse or partner?
No, I didn't.
No, I was about to say, go ahead, kid.
No, I was just gonna say I didn't. It was there, and it was something that it ain't nothing that I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't anything that I did. And I also, like I have said in the previous episode, he was actually able to help me get through some of the stuff, just by seeing things from a different viewpoint, right? So by me talking about different things, and it allowed me to, want to have relationships, or it made it easier for me to walk into relationships that I needed to, because he was there. You know what I mean? So it was like he was being support to me. So I wasn't ashamed to talk about it.
No, that's good. No, I would say the same as kid. I wasn't ashamed. Um, I just feel like that premarital counseling helped as well, because even if it was something you was trying to hide, they was going to draw it out of you.
Mhm.
And so, in my case, in particular, um, I just learned, whoever I'm dating, I got to let them know the real girlfriend. It's like what in my past, if we make it past 3 months, I got to tell you the real, because you gonna basically be like, where you going? You know, like you told me you was coming, like, oh, I'm going to see my mom, and so I always had to let people know about my mother being mentally ill and what the situation is, because I didn't want you to be hit with any surprises later on. I already knew my life was going to be a little different than probably what you're used to, and so I just wanted to throw that out there early as possible. Once you made it past that, they call it the 90-day rule. Once I realized you were going to be
You had
girlfriend, you
bro.
wasn't just friend with benefits or whatever. But if you made girlfriend status, I knew I was going to have to sit down with you and tell you the real.
Okay.
Mhm.
For me, I don't know if it was shame, but I was always been a private person, so like, I don't want to tell you that. Even though they can tell, like, something going on with you, like, man, I'm good. I write about it or something. But they were more like, nope, you need to actually talk about it. And when I did, I realized, okay, I guess it is better to talk about it instead of just, keep it moving, write a song about it, play some pop, get it out. It's a little better. Next one. Has your spouse partner acted differently towards you since
Since what?
y'all had that conversation?
Mm-mm. I think we both knew that we had a bunch of crap. So
Yeah. Hey, hey, I'm
Oh,
like, I'm
man.
like, kid, I'm like, kid, man. Like when we do an onion, you don't smell anything until you start unraveling that thing. So
Yeah.
once you open up that thing, it's like, okay, you done laid yours out. Now you ready for mine? And then you hear that person, you're like, well, damn, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we don't even playing fields around here. So it's like,
Mhm.
you showing one side of some mess. This person show their side, and now it's like a commonality. It's like, wow, you know, you a strong person. You a strong person, and y'all kind of just talk about that stuff and how you became the person you are
Okay.
today, type stuff. So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
For me, at first a little, cause they started. I guess it helped them understand how I think better. So definitely, if I tell them about the day my father died, that time came around, they would ask like, "How you feeling? Are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, just go play some music. I'm all right. Keep it moving." Um, Next one. Have you found closure or been delivered from a childhood or adult trauma? And adult traumas could be rape, robbed, being shot, molested, stuff like that.
I would say yes in my case, because I harbored a lot of unforgiveness for a long time towards my mom, and it wasn't until I moved down to Georgia in '02, and I remember prior to that, my last 2 years up there, I was visiting everybody's church. If you invited me to your church, I was going. You know what I'm saying? And I was taking that serious during that time, from the girl I was dating, um, to Jeff, to co-workers. If you invited me to your church, I was coming. And I was seeking that hole to be filled. And I knew the only way it was going to be filled, it wasn't going to be man-made. And I was like, I got to do this at my own pace and do it the way that I want to do it. And once I relocated, I was like, okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and dive into this the way I should. And I remember doing the altar call, and in this particular church, they old school. They wanted you to get up and say your name. I told the lady, like, "Man, I can't talk right now. Like, here go my name. I wrote it on the paper for you. Can say what you want to say, but I can't get up there and talk." And from that moment, I just started really taking, getting to know God serious. You know what I'm saying? Like for myself, inside and outside the church. And that was 2002. And 2004, 2 years later, the Holy Spirit hit me and said that God has forgiven my mother, and He wanted me to forgive her as well. And so I had to come back home that year for Thanksgiving, and I remember going up there nervously, not knowing what all was going to happen. But I just remember that being like a real. Now people talk about a God encounter. That was like a real spiritual God encounter where once I forgave her, like that release was like naturally it was good, but spiritually it was even better. So it was really good.
That's good. You like remember it so vividly. I don't know if I remember mine so much like that. I think it was like a work in progress. One of the things that I did, that I had talked to you guys about as far as on Father's Day is just repairing a relationship that I had with my dad. And so from that, like I said, once I actually put myself in switch roles and really tried to embody what it was like being a father and husband at 18 and what all that might have entailed, not even knowing how he might have been raised or what he might have been going through himself, and trying to think and identify with learning how to identify who you are. So once I did all of that, that completely erased everything. Like prior to that, we had been working and repairing our relationship throughout the years. But that really shifted everything and made everything complete for me. So from that, I don't have anything, just I was just telling somebody the other day, like I can have a conversation with anybody at any time about anything, the tough conversations and the easy ones. And I don't care who you are, I'm willing to have that conversation. And so I'm like, because I know if I was able to repair that relationship, there is a relationship in this world that I can't be able to, get through, heal, whatever. Forgiveness was a very big thing, right? And so I can identify with you, Jerome, and what you're saying. I still work on this day on forgiveness. So there's some things I'm 100% complete with him, but there are some things as I've become an adult that I have dealt with, previous relationships, things like that. Well, I'll just say this most recent previous relationship that I'm not complete with quite yet. I'm working on that, and I know it's just a matter of time, but I'll be good. Yeah, there's still some stuff I'm a little bit pissed about, but I can let it. I'll be able to let it go in due time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, and that's real that you understand that. You know what I'm saying? It's like some things hadn't left yet. I call it residue. There's some residue there. It's not all the way cleaned out, and you understand that. And you like, hey, I'll get there. It's okay to be there.
Yeah, Rome, it's like you have that layer, right? You know how you do that cleaning, and you like, say you spill some some flour, right? You think you got all the flour up, and then you look, you like, dang, there's still some flour there. Like I got it all the way. And then so you see you feeling good for a minute, like I did real good. I'm clean, everything clean. And then you happen to see that one spot in the corner, and you like, how you get over there? You was way over there. Like, okay, so then you try to clean that up, and then you look on a different angle, and you like, I need bleach water and everything else. Like I still gotta clean all the surfaces.
It's still some more in there.
It's still a little bit more in there, right? Just when you think you good, something hit and you trigger like, hey, this son of a, you know what I'm saying? So but it's a process. Healing is a process. And I think a lot of times I'll just speak for myself. What I would do is try to rush through the process because I always want to be in this space where I'm good. But with this particular thing, I had to understand, like, it's gonna take some time, and you're gonna have to allow yourself to go through. Because so many times it's like, ain't you over that yet? Suck it up, buttercup. You know what I'm saying? You ain't the only one that have been through X, Y, and Z. We hear all of these things.
Yeah, a lot of people say that now.
Yeah, and we think that it's only a certain amount of time that you're supposed to grieve, or you know what I'm saying, go through the process of healing, when actually it just takes as long as it takes. And it's a choice still. Like, am I going to be bitter or am I going to be better? And I choose to be better. However, it's still a process that you have to go through in order to cleanse all of that. So, yep.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at, bro.
As I spoke about last week, man was 02 when a friend reached out to get me to deal with my issue with my mom, and her war story was worse than mine, so she won that conversation. I went and worked it out. We cool now. Next one. Have you broken a generational curse your trauma has had on your bloodline or family?
That's a good question. I would like to think so.
Yeah. Man, listen. I told you, Jeff, I was going to only say so much because you know what, I'm working on the moves.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say this. When everybody, you included, kid, when everybody really get a chance to see my story and you get a chance to see everything from start to finish, everybody gonna be like, I didn't know. Wow. But like, I'm one of those people where honestly, if I operated like everybody else, I'd be underneath somebody's psych hospital right now. Underneath. Not on no ward, but underneath, and they hold whatever their whole area is, that'll be me. And I remember when I started getting to the teenage years and started asking my grandmother things, I realized, okay, this is one of those family secrets that nobody's going to talk about. And so if we're not going to address it, my thing is I got to face this thing head on. And when it comes to mental illness, even though I don't know all of the details of this, I got to start learning more about it. I got to start learning more about chronic depression, manic depression, schizophrenia, bipolar, all the different ones that's out there, because I'm looking at it like, not only am I going to be the one to say, I'm not going to allow this to overcome my life, I can't let it overcome on my children's lives. And so I had to go into, what they call spiritual warfare and be like, no, this ain't happening. This ain't happening to me, to my kids, any of that stuff. So I always tell everybody, even before I was actively involved in going to church and things like that and rededicating my life, I knew the Lord. I just didn't trust his people. You know what I'm saying? And I tell people that all the time, because I had an uncle one time, he told me, he said, this would have been like 6th, 7th grade. He like, hey, when you gonna start listening to the gospel music and this? I said, hey, when they start singing songs on my level, that's when I listen to it. I ain't listen to them Negro spirituals y'all talking about. Like, I can't relate to none of that. You know what I'm saying? I just told him, I said, man, that's good that you able to listen to that stuff and you get something out of that. I said, that don't do nothing for me. And I remember the way he looked at me like, I can't believe he said that. But I always been wanted, don't ask me no question you don't want no answer to. I'm gonna give you the answer without disrespecting you. I'm gonna give you the answer, and you just gonna look at me and be like, this dude just said, yeah, I said it. You know what I'm saying? You asked me the question. So I think I definitely say, that spiritual warfare, those prayers over the years, people praying for me over the years that I didn't even know. What the word say, the prayers of the saints availeth much.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you have people out there praying for you even when you don't even know about it. And you just have to really go to war when it comes to those type of things, because some stuff, some families dealing with alcoholism. Some families, everybody got something that's out there, and you just have to be strong as best you can to be able to not only, address it physically, because everybody can be, oh, I'm ready to fight. No, this ain't about a physical fight. It's a spiritual war before, you know what I'm saying? That's why I say I battle not against flesh and blood. Like, I knew what I was up against. So I wasn't going to spend too much time arguing with my friends and so-called friends.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I had to go to war where it was really going to count and matter. And I was doing it, I call it blindly, not even really knowing exactly what all of this was going to amount to. But I knew I had to go that way opposed to trying to just, be the one jawing at the mouth with everybody every time, because that wasn't going to get me anywhere.
Right. How old were you when you realized that it was spiritual war that you were fighting?
I'm gonna say somewhere around 14.
Oh wow, that's really young.
Yeah, freshman year, like we going off to high school, right around that time frame, like when we left Guess, like that summer before. That's when I would say it started hitting me like, okay, I know what I'm up against now. You know what I'm saying? This is deeper than just a physical thing.
That takes a lot of maturity, because most people never get to that point.
Yeah, like I said, you know, you look at stuff with your natural eyes and like, nah, this ain't it, and this deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was about 14, right before we went off to Cool It.
Okay.
Good question, by the way.
Thank you. I believe with my family it has been done. I definitely seen it more after my nephew was murdered a few years ago. Everybody that had kids with their family, instead of how we did, my father, dad, they went in their own little world and dealt with it. They rallied together and talked about it and dealt with it. So it wasn't that distance where I'm more comfortable being to myself dealing with stuff, because I've been doing that since I was 12. It was weird hanging around people more and you start dealing with issues. Like, I go write a song, listen to Pac, I'm good. What y'all talking about? Talk about your feelings. What's that? And people looked at me weird, like, that's not what me and my people did. We all went out into the world, closed the door, and figured it out. But it's better to do it as a unit. So that's so that we did that more with his death, unfortunately. Next question. Good. Yeah. As a man or woman, why do you think the Black community are not talking about the traumas or trying to heal and forgive from it?
Say the last part, trying to do what?
They're not talking about the traumas they experience or really healing or forgiving.
I think for so many, it's just a way of life. Like, this what we do and we deal with every day. So it's become normalized for somebody to have some type of trauma. My people did this, your people did that. It's just a way of life. That's just how we, just what it. If it's not our family, it's society, it's the culture as a whole. Trauma is present, and so it's being normalized that it's gonna happen, and you deal with it. It's just something you deal with, and you keep it moving. So it's like people don't really sit and talk. We don't really realize, like, your life doesn't have to be filled with some type of drama or trauma, right? And so I just think it's kind of normalized. So people, and then we are so used to being strong that talking about anything becomes a sign of weakness. And I think, because a lot of our history is about survival, we just know how to survive. And so that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. Like, we survive. This is what we do to survive. Like, you don't talk about your problems, all the different stuff that's going on in your family. You keep it to yourself. You just learn how to deal with it. And don't nobody got time to be pouting and crying because somebody gonna disappoint you, hurt you in some type of way. We pass all of that down, and so we wear it as a badge of honor. What did you get through that you're strong with? Like Jerome said, like, oh, you too, like, you really strong person. After that, we just shared, like, oh, you real strong. I didn't know that you were going through that. And so many times people look at different situations and say, this person isn't going through that over there because you don't look like this. And then when you share, like, I'm going through stuff just like everybody else is, and it's like, dang, like, okay, you going through stuff too, you strong. But I just think that's why we don't talk about it. It's a stigma behind talking about your problems. It's a stigma behind saying that you need to talk to an actual professional, and it's a stigma behind sharing that you hurt. It's just been a sign of weakness for so long, I think, in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And like he had just said, it's actually deeper. When we want to go, I used to work for a company. They always wanted to talk about root cause. Like if something happened, what was the root cause?
What's the root cause?
And in our case, the root cause of the African American community is we came out of slavery without having any type of therapy, and we gotta face the beast and the elephant in the room, and that's the reality of this. You know, you can't sit up here and have 400 years of that type of treatment, and then just you got your freedom walking papers, and then you just think everybody's gonna be okay.
Have at it. Have a happy life. Go ahead.
It's like have at it. You know. And if we go, we ain't even got to go that far back. We're just going to go to our grandparents' generation. We did the research. They're considered the silent generation. That's the generation where you better not ask Pawpaw certain questions. You know, you at the dinner table like, wait a minute, y'all said that's cousin so-and-so, but if that's cousin so-and-so, that means you was, wait a minute. So you just couldn't, it's certain things that was happening, but it was hush-hush. So then you come to our parents' generation, the baby boomers, and they try to do the best they can. Some of them went off first generation college and things of that nature, but it was still that keep it on the low. Don't talk about this. We don't talk about this in our and I'm just going, since we're talking about men's mental health, I can't recall one time my grandfather saying he loved me. Not one time, because that's the generation that love was seen as a sign of weakness. You couldn't tell your son or your grandsons you love them. It was just like you supposed to know. And it's like I look at it like when you're in a relationship. I can't date Kia, and she can know by my actions I love her, but she's wanting to hear that at some point. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, I notice you don't never say you love me. Like, do you love me? Like, well, don't you have this house? Don't you have that car? You know I love you. Like, but I want to hear it. I feel like that generation, because of
I fed you, didn't I?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. What was that movie? Fences. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Denzel.
It's that generation couldn't say I love you, and I feel like that PTSD exists in our community to where, number one, we don't trust a lot of people.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And we trust our little circle, whoever that is. But outside of that circle, you don't trust anybody. So why would you go talk to this stranger about your information? They don't realize that same therapist, they sign documentation. That stuff is confidential. They can't express any of that stuff you telling them unless you say, hey, you can tell this person what I want.
But it goes to say, like you were saying, it's that it's still the PTSD, because you got to think back then doctors weren't to be trusted. No. They did so many things to us, so it's like, why am I gonna mess with that doctor for them to kill me?
That's why I said that trust factor.
Yeah,
that's where that trust factor come in. So you got PTSD, trust issues. It's like all of those stigmas that Kid was talking about are lined up to where, thankfully, now we got internet, we have social media outlets where people making it more likable. I was telling
representation, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, but representation also matters. We see more of us.
Exactly. You know? Exactly. I was telling Jeff, when we got off the call the very last time, so not last week, 2 weeks ago, the next day, I was looking at the news here, and there was a gentleman who was on the top of the overpass. And the traffic, traffic here in Atlanta is already bad, but it was really bad. And that was on a Sunday. And everybody's like wondering what was going on. Well, it was a young black male, and he was, screaming out things, and telling them, hey, he's going to end his life. So, of course, they were trying to do everything to prevent that from happening. But unfortunately, he ended up jumping off and took his life.
Oh, wow.
And so I hadn't read anything yet to find out what all was going on and what was happening in his life. But it just goes to show you that sometimes when people are going through a storm, they feel like they don't have an outlet. Not even to their closest friend. It's like, hey, that person don't understand what I'm going through. My sister don't understand. My brother don't understand. So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, like Jeff put a number up here, you know, dial the 988, reach out to, you know, whoever it is, because most of your 9-to-5s out there, whether you're distribution, whether you're in manufacturing, they have numbers out there when you're going through some things that you can call so that you can get the proper professional help that you need. And so, me personally, therapy definitely helped me out because it helps you get from A to Z and helps you get to a place of normalcy a lot quicker, if you will. And you know, everybody always say that some people, which was in my case, you don't need medication. You just need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, there's people out there that's got to do both, talk and have medication, and it's okay. You know, it's perfectly fine if you got to take medication to make sure that you in the right mood every day. You know, that you in a happy space, in a happy place, and you're not hearing those inner voices telling you you're less than, and all of those type of things. So I feel like, you know, now that we know this is for the better and this is for the good, I feel like everybody should be encouraging their loved ones, their co-workers, their friends, church members. When you see them going through, I don't care if they lost a loved one, go to a grief counselor. It's different type of therapy that we all need. It's not always about medication. It's people out here losing sleep because they lost a loved one. And so, you know, that person is in depression.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And it's like, we got to be able to identify those things and try to get those folks the right help, you know, especially if they respect your words and the love that you show them.
That's real.
Yeah. There are definitely a lot of issues do stem from slavery and Jim Crow. And even now there's with some police officers, not all, where and people don't really pay attention. It's really about money, it ain't about color. But that's a nice distraction to throw out there so you don't like, okay, what's up with the real money? But if I can make you feel better than this person because you're of whatever color, you ain't gonna be looking at the bigger picture. Because if we start talking about money, and sadly I learned this in business school, Black people spend 1.3 trillion every damn year. When stuff made overseas for like $2 or $3, and they jack up the price and they bring it back over here. China let that be known a few months ago, and that shocked the world. Like, why you think they moved the factories overseas? They ain't got to pay all that money for union work. They just pay $5 and that's it. But when they come back over here, that's going to be worth $1,000. And because we never really had a lot, we want to have on stuff that's worth more than $100 to show I've arrived. I ain't eating the pork and beans and hot dogs. I got some real money, but your real money would be what you got in your savings. You got an IRA, you know, your portfolio business. That's your real money. Buying Yeezys and all these whatever person chooses to buy is cool, but you got $5,000 on, but do you got that or double in your bank account? And if you don't, you need to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Yeah, females gonna be on you fly, but wouldn't it be better to have that bread in your account? You ain't gotta ask for help you don't really need it. You can make moves where you want to make moves. And even with the hip hop culture really pushes trauma, unfortunately, we don't stop and think about it. If we took that 1.3 trillion and did amongst ourselves and their businesses, I would triple. Like people want all the stuff I've seen this year. Well, let's shut this down. Let's shut this down. That's nice. Target lost some money from that. CEO got fired. But if you really wanted to make a statement, don't buy a damn thing for a month. As black people, if you're really trying to do a statement, that will get people attention. Because we spend all the time. If there's a Trump threw us another stimmy check, half of it be gone before 48 hours. And they gonna post about, man, I'm balling. I'm gonna have the barbecue. I got the drink, the weed. We doing it. You like, did you pay on your debts? Did you put some away, man? You talking all that nerd stuff. But that's good stuff. Say something about it. And then the people that didn't, unfortunately, when they took them memorandums off for the paying your rent and everything, everybody was hooting and hollering, I need help. Like, it's out there balling. Live your best life. So as a people, we need to stop thinking about just the moment. Deal with what we've been through and start looking at what's the future. The robots here, all this type of stuff, how can we get in on that and make a legacy for our generation? My little 2 cents. Next question. Do you... Hold on. I had a word up there.
Do you? Hold on.
I had to make sure I said it right.
This guy.
Wow. I was a critic. Have you or do you still blame God for your childhood trauma?
Nah.
No, man, that's a deep question because I would say I never blamed God, but I always between the ages of 11 to 14, them 3 years, I would say I was asking the why. Like why this? Why allow this? Why did you do this? I think a lot of people get God jaded when it comes to who he is. Yep. we read a lot about Jesus, but I don't think a lot of people really know about God.
Yeah.
And I'll have to look it up here before we get off. But it's a scripture in Isaiah, and it was powerful when I read it. I read this probably 10, 12 years ago for the first time. And it says that he told Isaiah, I created good and evil. And so when you really think about that scripture and you think about going all the way back to Adam and Eve, they were naked prior to him eating the fruit. And so it was some things we wasn't supposed to know. It was some things we wasn't supposed to see. It was some things that just wasn't supposed to happen, man. So when you go out there like Job, when you sit there and you ask all of the whys, Job's one of my favorite books because I remember, when you read it, you see God came back at him and said, "Where were you when I created the stars and this? Where were you?" And he was hitting him with all of that. So it's funny because life can hit you to where you start questioning God and you say, "Why this? Why that?" And in my opinion, it's natural. Some pastors may tell you differently, but I feel like you ain't disrespecting God by asking him why. It's like when we're in class, wait a minute, how did you get that answer? Why didn't we do it this way? You know what I'm saying? You trying to get an understanding is really what it is. And we're all children in his eyes, his children. So my thing is, when you have questions, you're not wrong to have those questions and everything that you're having, those feelings that you're going through. So for me, I never blamed them for anything. I just had the questions of why. Like, why would you allow this? Why did you do that? Because when you're going through that storm, I've been in one tornado in my lifetime, and it was in the deep, believe it or not, in 1997. I remember blowing off that tornado like everybody else probably did. And I remember chilling over there with Marte, And she was like, yeah, I'm getting ready to go to and I was listening to the radio. I said, no, you're not going nowhere. We about to go in the basement. I said, let's look outside. She looked up. The sky was green like the Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Both went downstairs. 10 minutes later, after hearing that siren, we seen the news showing what happened over there by the Grand Boulevard area and that in Linwood area and how the houses was picked up. And I say all of that to say, sometimes you're going through a storm where you don't see an end, and you wondering, why am I going through this? Nobody else in my family went through nothing like this. None of my friends went through nothing like this. I don't even see this on the news. Somebody going through stuff like this. Why me, God? And I always tell people when you ask your why questions, I always like to go to that scripture that says he'll never give you more than what you can bear. But people stop right there. They don't look at the end of that verse. The end of the verse say he'll make a way for you to escape. That's the deep part. That's the deep part of that whole verse. And you get it because I can tell you from my own experience, he always will make a way for you to escape. You know how you go to a high-rise building, you can't get on that elevator if it's a fire. You either gonna have to jump out that window or you gotta go down the fire escape.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to get out of there, or you let down a little ladder and you go down that way, but you can't go down the way that you went up. And sometimes God have to make a way. That's when people got that. Got to make a way out of no way, because you didn't have a door, but He opened that door so you can get up out of there. You know, and so that's my take on it. It's a deep question, but that's the reality.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's discovery only comes by asking questions. You can only gain wisdom by asking. And I think we put too much in the box when we're like, oh, you shouldn't. That used to be the whole thing all the time, Rome. It's always you don't question God, you don't ask why. It's like, but He the one that got the answer. So why would I not ask Him? I can't ask you. You don't know. You didn't do it. He the creator of all things, all knowing, always present, right? So why would I not ask? So yeah, I'm on a daily basis, especially when life is life, and then I just don't know where else to go. Lord, why? Why me? Why now? Sometimes why not me? Right? But the whole thing is you can ask questions. I don't understand why people try to say you can't ask no questions. But blaming, no, I didn't. I didn't blame. I didn't even think to blame when it came to anything from my childhood. As I got older, though, and different things have happened, I have asked like why, and I asked why because what lesson are you trying to teach? What am I supposed to be getting from this? Sometimes I say whatever the lesson is, I really don't want it. So can you just take it, or either let me learn the lesson quickly so I can get through what is happening, because this right here is too painful, and I know you say that you won't put more on me than I can bear, but right now I'm feeling that like I'm at my breaking point, so I need you at this moment to either let me learn it or please let this up off me, right? And so I think you can have those real conversations, and I think that's the issue too. Sometimes we don't want to. We even playing with God, like we ain't even being real when we talking to Him. He the only one that can help, that can save, right? And so, you just got to get real sometimes.
Those
You
are
already know that you're going through. So
those are very elegant responses. I wanted to beat his ass when I was a kid. I hated his guts. I got to figure out life without my dad. You got dope dealers alive, rapists, murders. What the hell is this shit? My friends and like, no, but God love, like, that ain't love. My family destroyed, bro. I'm alone. I can't be a kid no more. I got to figure this shit out myself. Dope dealers, gang bangers, always trying to recruit. But I love women. Prison ain't got those, so leave me alone. So that hatred and anger of beating his ass didn't leave until I worked with some cats on the project crew at Wayne State, and every time we got done stripping the floor, they had me read the word, and one of them went to Word of Faith, and that's how I led to there. That's when I started letting that go. Like, well, no, Jeff, everything playing like, so my life need to suck for who? Who plan is that, bro? Like, you ain't, like, come on, man. We ain't gonna talk about Bible now, because I know the way I feel, y'all gonna be all churchy and ain't feeling me, and I respect that, but it's how I feel. If he was a person, we would have a WrestleMania, because my life sucks. I don't have a dad to teach me how to be a man. I gotta figure that shit out. And you telling me that's God's plan? Like, bro, get out of my face, bro. And they're like, oh my God, Jeff, you should like, nigga, I'm dead serious. You don't need to come in human form. We're gonna fight. Because this crap right here is some crap. And I thought I was the only one that felt the way until as I got older, started meeting other people. I'm like, wow, you, Jeff, you weren't the only one that had that animosity. Like, nah. Okay, so you weren't the only one with that feeling. But as you do learn more, everything you do go through, unfortunately, is to help somebody else. And along the way, people that didn't have a dad, I was able to have that conversation with them, help them through their anger. And even all that stuff I've been through, I didn't think was nothing. Just been putting books to help other people I've written so far. So if you're going through some stuff that really suck, it's a purpose to it. But when you're going through it,
you can't see no purpose in it.
Yeah.
You come at me and read one more damn scripture, I'm gonna throw the Bible at your face. I don't want to hear that.
Everything don't need scripture, exactly.
You looking like, no, I want no scriptures, I don't want nothing. I just want to get up out of this storm.
Yeah.
No, well, play some gospel like gospel, man. I'm gonna kick you in your ass. Say another word. Like, dang, Jeff, you like, dude, I try to keep this to myself, but on me how angry I really am. Keep talking. I apologize in advance before I swing. So stop talking this guy talk. Let's talk about something else. They had a face like, oh God, touching their imaginary person. Like, I didn't know Jeff felt that way. He's such a nice person. Like, yeah, you deal with dope dealers and gangs recruiting you all through high school.
Mm-hmm.
Even I told a story last week with one dude, because my dad was a pastor. And at that point in time, like, it's sad that that's passed to me. This dude told me his whole layout. I make it on the east side, I sell it on the west side, and then it's like, oh shit. I done told this little everything. And he had looked like, yeah, he realized he done blabbed his whole operation. He was in the choir. The following week, he didn't come to class. But a dude looking like Smitty, with no good intentions, sat in the choir, mean mugging me the entire week. And I'm like, oh, that's it, man. Okay. He gonna see if I talk. I ain't tell my friend. They're like, Jeff, why that dude look at me? And like, I don't know, man. Maybe having a bad day. Following week, he come in. I'm like, so what's your hitman report? Oh, man, see, that's where you a cool nerd, Jeff. You peep game, like, still mean mugging me in the hotel. We singing nice, happy songs. And he got that. You gonna pull it out in the classroom? I was thinking singing the song. Like, okay, we hear about the piano. The dough and the news side cooler way over there. If he starts shooting, how can I let everybody else get down and get out the way? That's what I'm thinking the whole time. Like, okay, he only got 2 or 3 ways he come start shooting at me. Because, like, yeah, he might make a move. But by Friday, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the day. You're going to have to figure some MacGyver A-team stuff out because he's going to be on it. But he did. And my man was like, man, you cool. I let everybody know message you this and that. I'm like, don't talk to me no more, please. You did say, yeah, my dad's passion. I guess that gift there, and you just started blabbing. I don't want to know what you do. All I want to know is these books, bro. That's it. These books and how to get a girl. That's it. What you talking about, I don't care about that. Because when you go, you're going to be dead or in jail.
Always about a girl.
That's right. That kept me away from the streets. My love of women was a superpower. Ain't none in prison. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, young men right now, they can woo with the money and all that. We're going to be your new family. And they out here killing, robbing, going to jail, dealing with booty warriors because they didn't have something to focus on.
You said booty warriors.
Hey, it happens. That dude is out doing interviews. Like, really?
Oh,
the dude from the Boondocks doing interviews? That's what we doing? Wow. Okay, only in America. It's a capitalist country. Get your money. You know. Yeah. So women saved my life. Because 10th, 11th grade, when they was fighting over the school, it was always, man, I got 5 racks now, Jay, what you gonna do? Like, you see old girl over there? I can go talk to her. I ain't gotta worry about the other foot soldiers watching the hallway. So you have fun with that. Now, if I'm gonna talk to her right now just to see if she say yes or no. But can you do that without watching your back? Damn, Jeff. You can't. He got jumped out the following week and turned himself around like, man, you have to realize there was a lot of pressure. Like, you never thought about the whole, maybe I'm too smart for my career. But I'm going to work this hard to give you $10,000 for selling drugs, for example. But you got the bad chick, the Cadillac, and steak and eggs, and you're going to give me what? An inkling of that money, and I did all the damn work? Man, you got me messed up, bro. Who the hell is you? My dad was a parent for as a pastor.
Like capitalism to me.
I'm like, no, dog. I ain't gonna make 10 grand. You might give me 500 and think I'll be cool with it. We fighting, bro. Now, so now, women save my life. Stay from the streets. Next question. Now this one, this real journalism question. Have you thought or tried suicide?
Yeah. I thought about checking up out of here. What for? You know,
Was it back in high school or?
I don't think I was in high school at that time.
Okay.
I think I was younger than that. I thought about not being here, but then I realized at the same time that I'm a bit of a punk when it comes to all of that, right? So I was like, it's only a certain way that I'm gonna be able to go up and get up out of here. I ain't about to can't cause myself no physical harm. So slitting my wrist and all of that type of stuff that just seemed too painful. So here's the thing.
Start thinking about it.
I want to do something, and I start thinking about it like, I don't know about all that if I really want to do that. The best way probably would be me maybe taking pills or something like that, right?
Okay.
And so if I then start thinking all of that and I'm thinking that every which way to talk myself out of it, maybe I can stay here one more day.
Okay.
So it was that. And then fast forward being older, I had thought about that too. But then it's like, you go through things and you think like life would be so much better without you in it. But then you start to realize all the ways you impact the world, at least for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when you start realizing like, why would you do something like that, right? What is so bad in life that you want to say that you want to get out of here? It's always a reason for you to be here. And you don't know whom you're impacting, who's watching you, what ripple that you're making, because regardless of what type of person you are, you could be the worst person in the world, but you still have an impact on this world. What it might be might not be what you want it to be, but you still have an impact in this world. And guess what? Even the people that are the worst got somebody to care about them some way. Might not be with the best intentions, but they got somebody to care about it. They could be the worst person in the world. Their mama might be the only person that liked them in the world. You know what I'm saying? They homie might be the only one that got their back and they doing dirt right along with them. But guess what? They got somebody to care about. So each one of us has a reason to be here. Each one of us makes the world go round. And once I started seeing that and realizing that I had to love myself enough to understand who I am in this world and my value, then the rest was just like, it ain't nobody in this world that I'm gonna let put me in that space where I decided I don't want to be here.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And thanks for sharing your personal testimony there. For me, it was college. I never wanted to necessarily take my life, but I was questioning life. Like, Lord, what you got me here for, man? What's the point? You know what I'm saying? My dad there. I don't have a normal life in college like everybody else. I see their parents coming up here. Why let me go through this so I can see people happy and he and going to dinners and all this stuff, and I'm sitting up here envious, like, man, fuck this shit, man. Like, I don't want to see these people happy. I don't want to see them, you know what I'm saying, smiling. And this is how deep God is. He knows your heart So
Tell it.
one day, my boy, my roommate, he said, "Hey man, what you doing later on?" He said, "I gotta finish this paper, but I'll be around. What's up?" I'm thinking he talking about the video game. I'm like, "What, you ready to get whooped up on this man?" He like, "No man, my parents gonna be here today. They told me to ask you to go out to dinner with us." And I said, "Where y'all going?" He said, Outback. I said, "They sure, man?" Because Outback, that wasn't somewhere you just was going all the time. So I'm like, "Y'all going to Outback?" Man, I was smiling like a dang on chess cat to be able to sit there with a family. You know what I'm saying? I'm still tight with his people to this day. I look at him like a brother, like Jeff. And that's how I knew, like, wow, like God knows exactly what you're going through, what you need. So when you hearing those other voices telling you to take yourself up out of here, or
You know that ain't no God.
nobody cares about me, or
Yep.
this and this, just overcome those voices. Like I remember the cartoons when we was younger. You would have that cartoon on one side, and the devil on the other side, and that conscience is something, and it's real. And so if you allow the one enemy side to win, then that's what you're going to do. You're going to hear what that one is saying. But if you allow your angelic side to tell you those things of you are, powerful, you are beautiful, you are confident, you get all of those different things, those days. That's why I tell people do daily affirmations. Sometimes you can, like they got a song, the kids got a song say, hype me up, hype me up. And it's like, sometimes you got to hype yourself up, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to be your own hype man and woman looking in that mirror in the morning, letting you know, like, hey,
that's right.
You matter. They had them shirts say Black Lives Matter. Your life matters at the end of the day. You can't sit up here and allow anybody to make you feel less than or different. So I feel like yeah, man. I never personally wanted to take myself out of there, but I was questioning life on everything this dude talking about. But yeah, no. I'm just laughing with the brother Rome. But no, I think that the daily affirmations, speaking life into yourself. I'll end with this. I said this a couple of years ago on Jeff's format when they invited me as a guest. One thing when you fly, one of the things I always pay attention to when those flight attendants say, hey, if you're traveling with little ones and we lose air pressure in the cabin, put your oxygen mask on first before helping your children. And that just lets you know in life, sometimes you can't help nobody without helping yourself. You got to help yourself first. Self-care matter. You got to be good in order for you to be able to be assistance to your mom, your sister, your brother, your cousins, your nieces, co-workers, anybody, husband, wife. You got to be good. So speak those daily affirmations into your life every day. Come up with your own list. It don't have to be spiritual. You can come up with some other stuff. I just use a secular song. Hype me up. Those super Christians ain't gonna like it, but hey, I don't live my life for super Christians. I live my life for the Lord. So hey, you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, we in our circle, one of the things that we call it is I am statements, which is a little bit different from affirmations, right? And so basically you don't need to be affirmed on things that you know. You need to be affirmed on things that you are struggling with, right? So with that being said, it's kind of a reprogramming of sorts, right? So we like you said the devil and the angel, right? You got your voice that might be this loud, but you got another voice that's the good voice that's really, really low. And so what your affirmations do is you continue to reprogram. It makes that voice that much louder. So the doubt, the negativity, and all of that can start getting way, way low, in your head, because we always had these conversations. And so when you say that maybe you're having a problem with confidence and you saying I am confident, right? So because you lack confidence in that, but you want to make yourself confident and you say I am confident, you're always saying it in the sense of right here and right now, like it's already done. If you keep hearing that over and over again, when those voices, those negative voices get in your ear, and you keep playing what you're positive about, that you know that you are, that you don't know that you are, but you want to become, I am enough, I am valuable, all of those things, then you'll start to reprogram that, and then those things that are negative will start to go down, and the things that you want to be, they'll come to fruition. Like, you don't, like, if it comes to you, Rome, ain't no way I can convince you about God, right? So you don't need an affirmation about God because you already know about God, right? So it's like you would just be repeating something just to be repeating it. But if it's something else, maybe you're a little bit unconfident about being a great dad because your parents weren't necessarily there. You know what I'm saying? So then you could say, I am a great father. My children look up to me and all of those things, because that's what needs to be reprogrammed. So we just call those the I am statements. And so it's a little bit of a twist for the affirmations.
That's good.
It's good stuff. For me, I tried it for a week, 11th grade. Got the biggest knife I could find, and every time I'm about to say, man, they don't give a damn. I was about to do it. Pac was my man, like, man, I hear put it down, go listen to Me Against the World. And I did it for like that Wednesday, Thursday. By the end, if I had that thought, I'll just play Me Against the World album. The last time I've had that thought was after I went to the hospital for Sugar Man 879. Shouldn't be here. Get out. Went back to the job I started. It was on something different. So I'm like, here's round 2 being laid off again. I'm like, and why you didn't let me die, dog? So I could be stuck in the same spot again, applying for 1,000 damn jolly. Bro, this is some bullshit. Then like, nope, suck it up, Jeff. Find a solution. You ain't gonna stay here. Just keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding. And that's what I'm doing ever since. I mean, this week has been a little different, but not those thoughts. Just, all right, some gotta hit for you. Okay, we rolling 7. Oh, crap. Oh, come on, keep rolling. We're gonna keep rolling. You know, some gonna hit. Will there be anybody that have those thoughts, or even right now that might have came across this and thinking of doing it? You were made for a purpose. Put it down. Go ask God, and He will start putting you on the right path to what you should be doing. I ain't put that up there.
You see these big fingers.
Yeah, no, they got the little fingers on their pop.
And if you don't get a keyboard, my dog.
Why y'all talking? Why y'all sassing me? That's just wow. Be your own people, man. I put y'all stuff up there.
Your own people.
Be your own, man. Friendly fire.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you hear a common theme, everything that we said still leads back, you know, and it wasn't planned. It's just us and talking, right? It still laid back to God. That was who brought us through and brought us out. So you can believe what you want to believe, but I just know. I know from firsthand experience that it's always been God, and without Him, I know I wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
Amen to that.
That's the end of those questions. Then I got a fun question, but how did y'all like this 2-part series about mental health?
It's good. You know, we always gonna chop it up anyway. So I think that this. No, I think that this was good. I wish Rome would have been able to be here on for the first one though, just to see like what that dynamic would have been like to have that conversation. But I think all our conversations always have value, right? And so I think this 2-parter was good. We got a lot covered, and I don't think that this is something that we should just skate through.
1,000%. Like I said, I missed last week for work purposes, but I seen you and Jeff, y'all did your thing, and that's the part 1, the 1-2 punch. And so, Jeff, I see he broke out them journalism questions today. So
yeah, to shut your ass up.
hey,
man, you supposed to come up with questions.
I always tell everybody I use basketball terminology like, hey, I wasn't the best dribbler, but I tell you what, I'm definitely gonna be top 5 one of the defenders. Like if you gonna put me on the quickest dude on the court, and I may not stop him, but I'm gonna figure his game out enough to where I'm gonna make him. I gotta choose his strength and take that away and make him go to wherever his weakness is at. And I feel like when you talk about men's mental health, we're talking about a person at their weakest point. And this so deep, like he is saying, that you have to put it in 2 parts because you got to hit different questions, hit different dynamics. So it's my hope that, men, women, young women, that you matter. And you may feel like it's nobody that you can talk to, not one person in your circle that you can talk to. Dial that 988 number, reach out to the local authorities, let the people know that you plan to take your life, do different things, but go talk and seek professional counseling because, like I said, again, a lot of times people just need to be heard so they can give you the resources that you need to cope with life, because this life that we live in, it can be brutal.
Yeah.
It can really be brutal. You can be one of those people who lose loved ones back to back to back, and you just feel like, why me? I can't make it. This, or this. And the only way you're going to seek that strength, as Kid was saying, is whether it look like it or not, everybody else turning their back on you, just start looking up to God, because that's where your help, your strength, everything will come from. And you'll find yourself doing things you never done. You'll find yourself in rooms you never been in, making money that you never made. I mean, everything that you dreamed of will start happening, but you just got to yield and listen to those words, listen to that voice over those voices. It's a difference.
Yeah. Give him no glory, give him no praise. It's like I always say, if you can look up, you can get up.
There we go.
Right. So if you can look up, you can get up. And so just looking up from where comes your help, knowing the help comes from the Lord. Hold on to that. If you can't hold on to nothing, just hold on to that, and you will see the dark clouds start to part. And it may not happen as fast as you want it to, but it will happen. And that's the thing. If you just have a glimpse, a glimmer of hope, then things can change and can turn around.
All right. Great stuff. Last question. Gotta leave on a little happy note. What's y'all plans for the 4th?
It always happy. What you talking about?
Yeah.
I know this is like this is so serious for 2 weeks. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go crazy.
You know, look, he been sitting here this whole time like, oh, y'all go ahead. Then it gets to him, he say 2 words. Like, you think we ain't peeped that? And it's uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying? Such conversations, but it ain't so. Why so serious? He like to joke. Why so serious?
See, you have to understand, being someone that like you will be past Jeff at some point. I didn't talk and heard so many situations like, man, I need some check and a blunt. Oh my God, you went through that? So it has built up. Okay, you got to have a little balance of something a little happy, because then I'm gonna be in straight that mode, and that phone be on. I'm like, man, here we go. John, I'm talking about it's gonna be too serious before I can come down from it. And then that's what some people call it. Man, I got a real shit. Like, I ain't trying to pass Jeff. That's the future, not right now. Not right now. And every time, man. And be 2 hours later, like, well, I know you got a real connection, Jeff. What God saying, like, man, okay, here we go. This is what we on. And 2 hours later, like, man, I'm drained now.
Hey, okay. I can relate to what you talking about, man. You go post up at the bar thinking you just go eat, get a drink, and then the young lady, you looking like, Lord, I ain't come here for all that, man. I'm not be talking to this girl about her problems. Like, oh, you go talk to her? Like, oh no.
I think I ran for 30-some years. Like, man, I'm out here people problems all day, bro. I got my own problems. That's draining.
There's a reason why I'm not a therapist. I already do it for free.
Yeah.
Storm Paths of Faith will be a church down the road. I already got to. That's already a nonprofit. It's already set up. I'm being obedient. I ain't being stubborn.
Oh, okay. I said y'all real funny, yeah. Tell me what you gonna tell God what you gonna do and what you ain't gonna do.
Hey, this dude, that conversation 20 years ago.
I got plenty of stories I can tell you. I done told God, man, the worst one. I give you a funny one. I was on the train here. They call it Martyr.
Yeah.
And you can take it to the airport. I see the girl come from the airport. I'm coming back from Detroit. I got my bags. I'm like, I'm just trying to get home. I see the girl looking at me. I'm looking at her. I'm looking like, don't come over here. All these people on the train. Go talk to somebody over there. I'm not helping with the damn bags. I'm not because you can see she going to the military. She got the military.
Oh, she got the real bags.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I appreciate you doing for the country, but I'm not helping. I'm the skinniest one on the train. I'm not helping. Each stop, the girl looking at me further and further. I'm looking like, Lord. So I start acting like I'm on the phone. I'm like, man, no, man, I ain't gonna come over there, man. I said, no. The girl said, excuse me. Can I use your phone? I'm like, come on. So I gave her the phone. She called the station to see when the bus was leaving. So they was like, hey, you gonna miss that bus, but the next one to be at whatever time. So then when she got the phone, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, you don't have nobody to help you with those bags, do you? She said, no. I said, well, I'm gonna help you take the bags down there. Appreciate your service, blah, blah, blah. I get off the train, take the girl bags, and I'm talking about heavy bags. I
know, military.
I'm talking 250 pounds, one on one shoulder, one on the other. I'm coming down the thing waddling like I'm on the Wiz. I'm coming through the thing waddling.
I was at theater this weekend.
Hey, I'm up there waddling. I placed the bags inside the thing where she was at so she could go. She went to reach into her pockets to hand me a tip. I said, no, you have a blessed day. God wanted me to help you out today. So then I go back and get on the train. That's when I was like, I'm done telling God what I'm not going to do. Because
he made it worse.
Yeah, as soon as I was disobedient, I'm trying to act like I'm on the phone. The girl said, excuse me.
Can I use your phone that you're not using?
I said, okay, I'm done. So when you want me to be a counselor, when I'm tired, I'm going to just go ahead and do it. I ain't even going to argue. Okay.
Hey, remember the conversation 20 years ago? Like, man, you be obedient. You be doing books. Everything I'm doing now, like, that Negro named it back in 02.
Hey.
We argued for 3 hours like, nah, bro.
Hey, you see how I was trying to fight it? I'm sitting up there looking like, man, I ain't come over here for all that. I got the drink right here. That's what I'm for. I ain't come here for all this. I ain't even touched the drink. That's when I was like, just give me the water there, man. Hey,
I shake my head now.
Give me the water there, man. Spike the water. Turn this water into some wine then, because that's all. Every
time we get on here, I just shake my head like, that Negroes mentioned all this stuff 30 years ago down there. And I'm like, nah, bro, go to Outer Drive, God over there. I done my job. Leave me alone. And no, if you want more than that job, you're gonna do some other stuff you do. Like, and I didn't realize I was even doing ministry. Like, that little crafty. A guest told me in the interview show, like, you know this ministry, right? Like, no, it ain't. Like, I'm finding a purpose job. Like, damn.
Yeah, ministry is not always within the confines of the church.
So you probably laughing at him like, this fool been helping me find a purpose. I got you. Like Bill Duke, you know you fucked up, right? I got you doing it. You said you was never gonna do it, and you doing it every week.
Society.
Like,
Classic.
Yeah, I might wind up cooking some probably for the 4th.
So the 4th
is next. I think Friday.
It's Friday.
Yeah. So I'm gonna find some places that's nearby to take the kids for the fireworks, whether it be on the 4th or the 3rd.
They're gonna still doing Saturday.
Yeah. And, I let them have that experience because I was always a kid like the Detroit fireworks and stuff. So we'll do that. Grill out, and that'll be about it.
Yeah. They put on a replay episode. Then next week might be about music or relationships, something like that.
Okay.
Hope everybody enjoyed this episode.
Yes, sir. And
Share
ma'am.
vote, share them. I probably might play both of them during the week. I think it help people. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hydrate.
Yes. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And until next time, everybody, y'all have a good one.
Have a good night. Appreciate y'all.
Have a happy holiday.
Yes.
Peace.
Happy 4th.